Okay, hello everyone. Really nice to meet you. I hope you'll have a fabulous day today. I have all my ugly notes here because it's the first time I'm talking to people and not to a screen with imaginary people, so I'm scared I'm gonna forget half of my talking track today. But anyway, I've gone through a few transitions in my life. I'm originally a lawyer by training, but product marketer by passion and trade. I am a Czech by origin, but after living in London and Brussels, I settled in France. And most recently, I transited from a market-led company to a product-led growth company. And I'd love to talk about this transition today, because originally I had a ton of misconceptions. When I heard product-led growth, I thought it's PM-led growth. And I was worried that my career would take a downturn. And the main thing I couldn't decide was if it's gonna be a quick fail like this one right now, or this one right now. That's the slow fail. Or a slow burn, that's me falling on skis. I think the joke was a bit lost. But anyway, it's actually full of exciting opportunities. And today I'm really excited to be working for Spendesk, which is a B2B spend management company. We help 3,500 companies spend smarter. Just this year, we handled 2 billion euro of cash on our platform. We also raised our Series C funding, and we were actually voted the best fintech company to work for in Europe. What's quite funny is that Rory from our competitor is talking this afternoon, so please, absolutely, under no circumstances, go to his talk. But anyway, let's go to the talk. I think before, sorry, it's actually me in the slides. So basically, okay, I'm sorry, I think the slides are not coming up the way I imagined, but anyway. Basically, before I go into my talk, which is to focus on the differences as a product marketer, switching from a marketing-led to a product-led growth, I think I probably should explain the concepts. So if we start at the very beginning, in sort of 1980s, software was really just these big boxes on-prem. And then back then, the main model was sales-led. So you would have the sales guys on the road, dining, doing golf with the CTOs. And that's how software was sold. It was really based on trust between the sales guy and the CTO. And then Salesforce and the likes entered the scene. And they started to focus on the non-tech execs. And that's where marketing really started growing the funnel. They basically opened the funnel, and marketing got leveraged into the strategic function. And we focused on the KPIs and ROIs, basically the value that software can bring to the different business departments across the company. And it really was selling through value. And now, product-led growth, it's basically focusing on the pain, on the experience of the user. Because cloud got super cheap, so we can actually offer it for free, which allows customers or users to try it and see the value before they actually end up buying it. So it's really focusing on the pain points instead of the key value. And today, I want to really focus on the differences as what it means to be a product marketer switching from a marketing-led to a product-led company. So I really want to focus what it means for our jobs. So I want you to help me with how many differences am I going to cover today? How many differences can you see on the picture? Yes. So obviously there's that Eiffel Tower. I come from France, so I had to introduce Eiffel Tower. Then we have the Superman, we have the balloon, and we have the A-team and the clock. So the difference number one is Eiffel Tower representing retention or experience. So the first key difference is that we are moving from the funnel, which is typical for market-led growth, to the flywheel, which is typical for product-led growth. And what's really key here, at least for me on this slide, is that the funnel, it basically follows the acquisition process and then eventually the lead becomes a customer, and it's all about experience and retention. And as product marketers, how many of you really focus on retention? I think we are obsessed with product launches and entering new markets. We're obsessed with the top of the funnel. And I must say, in my previous jobs, once we got to purchase stage, I moved on to the next sales campaign and next product. And retention, we only focused on it if it was a huge problem. Whereas with the product-led growth, retention experience is at the heart of the model because everything is done through the product. Everything is based on how the end user interacts with the product and if they have awesome customer experience, because it means that if they have awesome customer experience, they move from a free user to a paying user, and then they start referring other people to the flywheel. The big difference number 2 is that as a product marketer, you focus on a totally different persona, because with market-led growth, it's all about buying committee. Buying committee is made up of 6 to 10 people, according to Gartner, and these guys are executives. They're budget holders, they're people representing business departments, technical departments. They really focus on the ROI and KPIs. And what's really interesting is that the user actually has very little power in this sales model. They may provide their input, they may help shortlist the solutions, but they don't have the budget. They don't have the key relationships with the vendors, for example. So they have very little power in this whole process. Us as product marketers, we study the buyers, we study the buying journey. We have really key role in discovering who the buyer is and how to sell to them. And the sell is also extremely complex, and it may take easily a couple of years depending on how complex you're selling, how complex the software you're selling is. On the other hand, when we move to product-led growth, it's all about a single user. Single user has the key power here, and it's about really frictionless experience. And what's also interesting here from our perspective as product marketers is that it's really the user research people that would study the user. Product marketers would work with user research, but it's really user research who does the work to better understand the user. And because of that, I think we all grew up with the idea that we should write with the target audience in mind. So it's no surprise that our content is also completely different when we switch the models. This is all the white papers I wrote in my last job in like 18 months on the left side. And this is no white papers I've written in my new job. So in my old job with marketing-led growth, it's about producing as much content as you can because you just want to get to the potential buyers through every possible channel. You want to overwhelm them with content. But with product-led growth, your end users are captive audience. They're in your product, which is amazing because you have really easy way to them. They read your messages, you have their contact details, so you have their email addresses. But because of that, you cannot abuse it. You have to be really targeted, and your messages have to be extremely helpful because if the end user doesn't see your messages as helpful, they're just gonna send it to the spam folder, delete it, and maybe even stop using your product. So it's really fine balance to find here. Difference number 4 is the teams, is the A team in your company, it's your colleagues. They're gonna change too. You may work with some people less, some people more, some people you may never see again. For example, analyst relations or pre-sales. Analyst relations are really key for the enterprise sale because they really influence how your potential buyer shortlist the solutions. In product-led growth, it's very unlikely you work with them a lot because that's just not how your buyers really decide. Or pre-sales. If your product is so complex, you need a pre-sales team, it's very unlikely you succeed as a product-led company. On the other hand, there are also functions that you will work with, but maybe in a different way. In my old job, I worked with product managers that were assigned to a specific product, whereas now I work with product managers that are assigned to a specific part of the journey, for example, onboarding. You'll work a lot more closely with the customer success teams, like like CSMs and user care. And you'll also work on trying to scale them through the product, because you don't want to have these barriers in terms of human resources, but it's also extremely costly to have really large customer care team when you may have thousands and thousands of free users who don't pay for the product. Sales is always a very specific category. And I think a lot of people hope to work with sales again in a way. And that's not the case in product-led growth, because you still have sales, you just introduce them at a totally different stage of the process. Because you start with customer essentially, so you need to hire your customer care teams first, and sales teams come later, because when you have end users, it gets to a point that actually it creates a lot of red tape within the company if the company doesn't have a specific deal closed with you. So you need to introduce salespeople to actually get around this red tape that your product may start introducing at a certain point in the company. And finally, the last difference is really the usage metrics. And I think that goes with the fact that in the marketing-led growth, it's all about, are they actually buying our product? So it's focusing a lot on how people move through the funnel. So you would have MQLs and SQLs. Whereas in product-led growth, it's more focusing on, are people actually getting value from our product? So you'd be more concerned with, for example, PQLs, like how is the adoption growing? You would also, instead of, for example, focusing on how quickly are our deals happening, our pipeline is moving, you'd focus on, are our customers getting quick time to value? Is the time to value really short? In marketing-led growth, it may focus more on the renewal rate of your deals, whereas product-led is more around net revenue churn. But I think the biggest difference, or really the key metric for a lot of companies for product-led growth, is actually NPS, because the key to success is that your customers actually recommend you to others as well. But as French people say, the more things change, the more same they really stay. So even though there are all these differences for us product marketers between these two different models, there are still three key things we have to do because we're product marketers. The first one is the go-to-market strategy. Even in the product-led growth, we still have to figure out the pricing and packaging. We have to figure out what goes into the free product. We have to figure out how to get customers from the free to paying product. How to position, where's the value? The second one is we still have to enable everyone to understand what we have to say, what's happening with the product, what's our value proposition. And we still have to do demand generation. We still have to translate into the right campaign. So the framework of our job stays the same. We just have these 5 key differences as product marketers in our day-to-day job in terms of what's the key focus that goes to retention. In terms of the target persona, it's no longer 10 people in buying committee, but it's a single end user. We're not really doing the thought leadership. We're just really focusing on the product guidance, trying to make sure that the end user gets the most they can from the product. We have new colleagues, and we're also focusing more on user than lead metrics. So if any of you have had this experience, or you guys are transitioning, or your company is transitioning to product-led growth, I'd definitely love to have a chat with you about it after this talk. But yeah, thank you so much for attending, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. And I'll back to Harvey.